The creature's a sea witch. An evil Jenny Green Teeth who summoned the storms and pulled the shipwrecked sailors down into her evil embrace to live with her forever at the bottom of the lake. Sometimes she waits until the calm right after the storm to attack. When the sailors relax their guard, lulled into thinking that the danger has passed with the storm hag bursts forth from the dark waters of the lake, spewing forth lightning and wind like venom. And the ship will vanish, never to be seen again. There is only one warning before she strikes. If you listen closely, you can hear her singing against the harsh wind and the thrashing waves. If you can, flee immediately, for the storm hag is right beside you. If you cannot, then pray to your God for mercy, for the storm hag will grant you none. Her whirlpool will suck down your ship, and her long green arms will lovingly stroke you into the depths of the lake, where she will feast on your body among the weeds.
Hello, this is Cameron.
Hey guys, it's Mandy.
And that was Mandy's intro, introducing you all to the wonderful world of the sea hag and various river spirits.
Yay.
Today we're going to be doing an episode on the different sirens of the world. Stay tuned.
There is a medicine story that tells of Crow's fascination with her own shadow. She kept looking at it, pecking at it until her shadow woke up and became alive. Then Crow Shadow ate her. Crow is dead Crow now. Join us as we attempt to look through the wandering crow's eye to find the gateway to the supernatural, to seek to know the unknowable mysteries of creation. Welcome to the Wandering Crow Podcast.
Hey murderers, we're back. I hope that you really liked the recording that I did. I am very proud of it.
That turned out really good. Yeah, no, I was actually very impressed.
Thank you. I am very pleased. It took a long time, considering how short it is, to actually do it, but I'm so proud of it. It's so good. I did want to say, this is super important. I did not write any of that. The singing and all of the sound effects and the dramatic reading, all of that was me. However, the credit goes to, for actually writing all of that, and S.E. Schlosser from Spooky, Pennsylvania. She actually wrote the prose and the lyrics to the song on a website, and I can't find it now. I definitely put it comes from AmericanFolklore.net, and she's talking about the sea hag of Lake Erie, and that's where all of that came from. So it was a dramatization of somebody else's creative work. I just wanted to make sure I gave credit to that.
Oh, I still think you ran with it. So originally we were going to talk about like river spirits and like the weeping woman, which, you know, obviously when you look that up, the first thing that comes up is usually La Llorona. There is also the Rusalka. That also came up pretty quickly. But I kept falling back into the Baba Yaga legends.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which
Baba Yaga?
has nothing to do with her crying next to a river.
So I mean, really doesn't. So who is Baba Yaga, for those who don't know?
Baba Yaga is widely regarded as like a forest spirit. It means like a peasant woman. Yaga means witch or elderly woman. She's supposed to be of like a mother's age or older, so she's like a crone of the woods. And so she's known for being able to transform into any animal. She deceives children, lures them out, and then she'll eat them. She likes to get the kids in. She'll cook them. So basically, what am I thinking of here? Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel?
Yes, that kind of story. Her house differs. She doesn't have a house of sweets. She's got a house that's basically made of like the woods. And it walks around on chicken or turkey legs. It's got like bird legs that it is constantly spinning. And it will always face away from whoever wants to get inside unless you say the magical words. Spinning house, put your back to the forest and your face to me. And it will stop. And it will let you in. Reportedly, any kids that she takes, they will be eventually forgotten about by the family. Like, she erases their history.
Oh, it's even worse somehow.
Mm-hmm. It's as if they never existed. And
that's sad.
Sometimes she'll take them as, like, servants, but, it's like zombification. They're not really them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to address strangers. She will talk to you. It's a gamble as to whether or not she'll grant you a wish or she kills you right there. There is stories where people have approached her and she will say, did you come here of your own free will or were you sent here? And there's apparently only one right answer. You're supposed to say that you came there of your own free will. It's only the people that are pure of heart that don't get hurt by her, which is weird because she eats kids.
Yeah. What kid is not pure of heart? That's so weird.
Mm-hmm. I think that's just, if you make it to adulthood and you're still pure of heart, I don't know. Like it's some sort of precious gem. Who knows? It's very odd. And I think it's because it's through centuries of reiteration.
Right. Like the whole thing is so strange. Like where did someone see a house on chicken legs? Like where does that come from?
Don't know. That's almost like fairy tale-ish,
Yeah.
The main thing that everybody agrees with is that the roof tends to be made of different branches and just covered in pine tree needles. The fence in front of her house, which is weird because the house has legs. Why would it be in a place long enough to have a fence? Her fence post is always, each pike is topped with a human skull, except for one. She keeps one free so that anyone wandering into her yard is aware that they have a place there if they make the wrong move. It's like a warning. There's still room for you. And she's a very interesting being. Apparently she used to actually be like deified in some ways. But through the time, it's become less and less of that and more of, mind your business, don't go out into the woods, don't go near any water sources, stay in civilization, essentially. And it's thought that this was just a way to keep kids from going out to where it's dangerous, tell a scary story.
That's what I saw in my research too. And so this is Baba Yaga? She's by the water too?
She can be. That's the part that's a little unclear. It seems like she's just in the woods. She's in unpopulated areas. She's the witch of the woods. She's not really there to seduce anyone. It's said that she is horrific. Every part of her is grotesque. She is the stereotypical witch of, like, Halloween.
Yeah, with the warts and the ginormous nose and the greasy hair.
Mm-hmm.
I can picture it.
More, every description I've seen of her is more like the hag from Baldur's Gate. You probably haven't played that, but I know our listeners, a few of them probably would. That's what she's supposed to look like. Not really human, just a compilation of different features that sort of add up to almost look human. Mm-hmm. And her hair is always like very scant. It's almost like a comb over for a woman, and it looks like almost long moss growing out of her hair.
So this is very river hag sounding, because a lot of the creatures have that in common with her that I researched for this episode.
Yeah, so let's talk about one of yours then.
Well, I wanted to say, you said that she had been previously deified and then kind of over time became this villain. And I feel like that's pretty common in some of the stuff that I was researching too. Some of these, not all of them, maybe had started out as like naiads or like water spirits, like important water spirits who were venerated by druids and pagans of the time. And as the druids and pagans were forced out, these beings remained without their believers and took on a more sinister feeling by people who either didn't understand them, or maybe she turned on the people who had harmed her believers. You know, like, it's really interesting to kind of think about.
Well, here's something food for thought too, is a lot of these spirits, even when they were deified, did require sacrifices. So maybe now that there aren't sacrifices, they're just taking them where they can get them. And so now they're construed as evil. It used to be like, so it was an honor to be sacrificed to these beings. Mm-hmm. Now, nobody does it. So she takes the kids. Maybe that's like, these kids are worthy, but no one else really is. And then that's why she'll even talk to the other people, because they're not worthy to be a sacrifice.
I mean, maybe.
It's just a different...
To me, it kind of seemed like... Oh, go ahead.
It's just a different value system that we have now.
Right.
Like, we value our lives far more than we...
value the gods.
Yeah.
Or whatever, quote-unquote gods. Anyway. Well, so yeah, we talked about, the Weeping Woman, and all I could find for a long time, for almost a week, because we've been researching this one for a while, all I could find was La Llorona. And we'll get to her. That's a very big one.
And I kind of like it.
Very big one.
In the lore and like the beauty of what they've done with it. But the actual underlying story, I don't understand why it's so romanticized.
I didn't realize it was romanticized.
It is. So oh man, they're Dia de los Muertos. They've got all kinds of pop songs and stuff about La Llorona. There's yeah. Like it's
Well, I saw that one that you sent me. By the way, that girl, she's beautiful and her voice is awesome. So Cameron sent me this YouTube video, or was it YouTube? It was a TikTok actually. Of this girl.
Was a TikTok that was on YouTube.
Oh, I see. And she said, I'm scaring my neighbors with La Llorona. And I expected her to do something really eerie and weird, but all she did was sing a very beautiful song. And I was like, wait, that's not scary.
But then all the Mexican comments underneath it were like, oh man, if I heard that, I'd leave the building and never come back. Really?
Oh, well, maybe because her voice was so beautiful and alluring. And that's the thing, is it comes back to the siren aspect of it.
That is the running theme, yeah.
Yeah, the voice is too beautiful, and maybe that's what it is, smart Mexicans know to stay the fuck inside. Someone with a very beautiful voice is singing about La Llorona. I'm about to die, so I'm going to stay inside where it's safe.
Let's not invite trouble by adventuring.
Yes, unlike white folk who have a bad habit of doing things like that. So...
Ooh, pretty lights.
Social media has taught me to better myself and not investigate scary noises.
That is funny. Every other country or like culture, it's like American specifically. Ooh, pretty lights. Let's go outside and film them. Everyone else like, no, I'm going inside. Fuck that.
Yeah. All my brown friends are like, yeah, that's right. Go ahead, white girl. Like, oh, all right. I've learned something about myself today. So started with La Llorona, and we'll talk about her. We'll get a little bit more into her. But eventually what I found, I was able slowly, and I forget which one really broke it up for me. I think it was the Rusalka. I found the story about the Rusalka, and I was like, okay, here's one. Maybe this is what Cameron's talking about. And once I found Rusalka, it was like suddenly I found it. The rabbit hole opened, and
Yes.
I just had this whole world of entities and different spirits just open to me. And it was so cool once I really started to get into it. I have, first of all, Cameron and I both, we were talking about this just before we started recording. Cameron and I both realized very, very late in the game that essentially what we have been researching is a siren, the archetype of the siren. And it didn't occur to me until about 5 hours ago that, oh, wait a minute, the Greeks have a whole thing about this and a whole mythology about sirens.
Oh, it's like a siren, but she's trying to draw you in by, like, damsel in distress is the one that I was originally talking about. But even La Llorona, she does she cries, but she will sing a song. She, it's very siren-esque.
Yeah. So, but here is, okay. I have it divided up by water types-ish, like near the water or in the water. And then I have land-based ones. And we're not even going to start with the land-based ones because I had so many water types that I didn't have time. Even after like 3 weeks of research, I didn't have time to research the land-based ones. But here's the ones that I actually did some good write-ups on. Jenny Greenteeth, Peg Powler, and the Grindylow. Those are from the area of the UK. Then we have something called a Kappa, which is a Japanese legend. Then we have the Rusalka, which comes from Russia. Then we have La Llorona of South America. Then we have Selkies, not to be confused with Kelpies, which are more of the Gaelic, Scotch-Irish sort of flavor, and also a little bit in the Nordic area. Then we have these things called the Naga spirits of Asian tradition. They exist in India and in Mongolia. Like, Nagas are kind of everywhere and have a slightly different definition depending on where you are. And then we have this thing called the Bunyip of Australia. It's part of an old Aboriginal story. Then we have this thing called, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I apologize, the Ahwizotl. It's Ahuizotl of Mesoamerica, so kind of like Aztec kind of location, geography. And then lastly, this thing called a Lorelei, or Lorelei of Germany. So many of them. And they all have a few things in common. First of all, they are all in or very, very near water. They have some kind of association with water. Most of them are hag-like and disgusting, but can sort of maybe mimic something beautiful or have a magic shapeshifter thing to them, or they are green. And what they all have in common is there's some kind of predatory nature to them. In some of the stories, like La Llorona is not always predatory, but usually she is. Selkies are not always predatory, but sometimes they are. It's kind of like that. So
it's funny because people claim to be like half Selkie.
Right. Yes. Like the Irish sometimes claim it. So, well, I suppose I've heard of Scottish people claiming it too. I don't know. But, I did want to kind of look at, what are we looking at here? So one idea is that these beings are actually in existence as a way to caution children away from dangerous bodies of water. So like specifically Jenny Greenteeth, and we'll talk more about her, but she is this green ghoulish hag who will reach up from the edge of the water and pull unsuspecting children in and drown them so that she can eat their bodies. Well, the common idea is this folktale exists so that it keeps kids the hell away from water. And I did find one kind of interesting idea. I have the link from where it came from, but it's called The Truth About Jenny Greenteeth. And in it, the author talks about, the flaw in that logic is that you can't keep people away from bodies of water in a time when there's no indoor plumbing. It doesn't actually make sense. People needed to be at the water. You can't just tell them you have to stay away. That's kind of looking at it from without all the facts, right? So this person felt like these beings existed as a way to explain sudden disappearances of people near bodies of water. And I think the author was female, I don't recall exactly, but the author, I want to say she, the author says, you know, one of the things is a lot of people believe that drowning is this really noisy affair with lots of splashing and gurgling and screaming, right? She says, but in reality, the science of drowning is that it's a super, super quiet, super quick thing. It happens in an instant. You could be looking right at someone, turn your eyes away for just the wrong moment, and turn back, and they could be gone with hardly a ripple on the surface of the water. And this author talks about how it has something to do with, like, the trauma response. It has something to do with the way that we respond when we can't breathe. And this person posits that that was the only way that people from long ago could explain sudden drownings. And a lot of times, especially with Jenny Greenteeth, there's actually a plant called Jenny Greenteeth. It's a kind of river weed. It grows so dense and so thick, it looks like solid land. And when you step on it, boom, you're in the water and you're gone. And
you're in like a net.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it just, you step on it thinking that you're about to step on solid land, and you sink down and you get tangled up. Yeah, like a net. You get tangled up in it and you drown. And people who were maybe nearby you think, well, a monster must have come and grabbed him because I never even heard him scream. It happened so fast. But this person is saying, well, that's just how it was. Then we have things like, have you ever seen the show called River Monsters? It's by a guy named Jeremy Wade. Oh my God. You've seen it? So good. That's basically what
he finds some really crazy creatures that are just normal creatures.
Yeah. They're still nuts. They're still crazy, but they are just fish. They are all just water-dwelling creatures, right? They're just in places that are unexplained, or they're a lot bigger than people realized. And he spent, that show, at least last I checked, had 10 years worth of episodes of him trying to prove that the monster of the water was actually just a fish. And he did, in most cases, I think, make a very good case for these weird and mysterious disappearances ending up to be water creatures. I love that. So I feel like, okay, we have drownings as a possible explanation for people going missing near water. We've got unexpected but totally not supernatural river monsters as a possible explanation. But then we have some that are a little bit weird. And sometimes there's witness accounts of things that don't quite make sense. And it's just like how I feel about UFOs. I feel like in most cases, these things can be explained. It's not actually a UFO. I think in most cases, these disappearances can be explained by non-supernatural means. However,
there's still that 0.1% that's like completely. Yes. Yeah, I could see that.
And I feel like the fact that we can look across the globe, anywhere where there's water, and we have these entities that are basically the same and almost in a lot of cases look the same, says a lot about whether or not this could be an actual creature. So Jenny Greenteeth, well, let's start with her. Jenny Greenteeth is a legend from the UK. She's also kind of interchangeable with an entity called Peg Powler or the Grindylow. She also can be called Wicked Jenny or Ginny Greenteeth with a G, I can spell with a G, or sometimes just Grin Teeth instead of Green Teeth. And she is this really popular fae from English folklore. She is also kind of like this river hag. And what she did, and I kind of already talked a little bit about her, but she would pull children and the elderly especially into the water and drown them. And the idea was that she was eating their bodies. It also, that name is used to describe a kind of pondweed or duckweed, which forms a continuous mat over the surface of the small body of water, making it look like it's solid ground, but actually it's not. And so a lot of times English folk would point to a plant and say, oh, look out, there's Jenny Greenteeth, don't step there, because it kind of came synonymous with this weed. And particularly That meaning was common, according to my research, around the area of Liverpool and southwest Lancashire. What did she look like? Well, she had, she was long and spindly, very thin. She had green skin, eyes, hair, and teeth. And she kind of had scaly skin, a little bit fish-like. She had very sharp claws and very sharp, as we said, green teeth. And she was remarkably strong. Particularly, these creatures really liked ponds and marshes. And their preferred prey, mostly, like I had kind of said before, is children and the elderly. But they could every now and then get gentlemen. Now, these were ugly creatures. These are not necessarily sirens as we think about them. But they are these predatory water creatures. And that's what they would do. They would just wait under the surface of the water, quietly watching until they have the absolute perfect opportune moment to grab their prey and take them under and drown them and eat them. The first time I ever heard about Jenny Greenteeth was actually in a Terry Pratchett novel. I didn't think that I thought it was maybe something that he'd invented, and I'm slowly learning that Terry Pratchett invented nothing. He merely recycled. If you don't know who Terry Pratchett is, by the way, I feel sad for you. He's the best. He's actually deceased, a deceased quote unquote fantasy writer. But actually what he did was he took existing folklore and folk tales and spiritual beliefs and created this incredible world, this universe called the Discworld, and he wrote satire. He is a satirist. He passed away several years ago. He had Alzheimer's, and he is my hero. I love him, and I still think of him as being very much alive today. But he wrote all of these, just all of these stories, and in one of them, which was technically considered a children's book, one of the only ones that was considered a children's book, Jenny Greenteeth is there, and it's a small child named Tiffany Aching who has to defeat the Jenny Greenteeth, because the Jenny Greenteeth tried to eat Tiffany's brother. Was that the one? Yeah, it tried to eat her brother, and so she wasn't having that and smashed it over the head with a cast iron pan. But to me, that is just a very fantastical, ridiculous notion until I was looking through it and saw, oh, this is actually folklore. People believed this at one time. People really believed this. And I am so excited because I found an account on YouTube of a Grindylow encounter, which is basically a Jenny Greenteeth. Cameron, do you want to hear it?
I do.
Now, this comes from another podcast. It's a short clip, and it was one of their listeners had submitted this story. You ready? I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the transcription. Okay. The podcast is called Scaredy Cast. It actually looks pretty legit, and they do lots of paranormal cryptid type stuff. So let's see. And here's the account that was sent in by one of their listeners. When I was 6, we went to a park near our house that had a pond. I was always fascinated with the small creatures, water bugs, fish, algae, everything. So I was squatting down, staring at this incredible little universe, completely enchanted with it. All of a sudden, something green came out of the water, grabbed my shoe, and pulled it. It happened in an instant. My foot slid forward into the water, and I fell backwards onto my butt. It was back in the water with a tiny splash, as fast as lightning. I blinked, then got up, and ran to my mom, saying something grabbed my foot and tried to pull me in the water. My mother tried to console me, saying my foot simply slipped on the muck, but I knew the truth. So heads up to anyone who lives in Milwaukee, the pond in Cozy Park on 6th Street in Lincoln has a Grindylow in it. So I think that was cool. That was posted, just April 15th of 2024 is what episode this comes from. And we'll make sure that we have the link to this. Huh?
So now we're going to have a bunch of people that go out there hunting for it.
Yeah. I just think that's amazing. So this little thing, this one, their definition of the Grindylow is a little bit small. So they thought it was like this demonic thing with horns and was little. And it actually reminds me of another creature called the Kappa, a Japanese creature, which I do also have an account of that. But I thought that was really amazing that we have this account of a Grindylow just from last month. Like literally, actually, just from a few days ago. I mean, my God.
That's pretty crazy, actually.
Well, I guess
I wouldn't
counted a few days ago, but this person was 6 when it happened, so it was from years ago. But that's a modern account. It's so cool. So
well,
go ahead.
in Mexico, they still very much believe in La Llorona. So it's an ongoing phenomenon for sure.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh, paranormal caught on camera. This is how I knew about La Llorona. Paranormal caught on camera has one where there's just this disembodied screaming, just this frantic, almost angry, aggressive female screaming happening in this neighborhood, and no one knows where it's coming from exactly, and they're all spooked. They called the police verified it was happening. It went on for months until finally the police found this gown and they burned it. Like, they didn't know what the gown was doing there. They burned it, and then all of a sudden the screaming stopped. It was
the police
crazy.
just thought to burn it.
Huh?
Like, that's probably the right thing to do, but
I mean,
that's just what they thought to do.
They were locals. They know the legend as well as anybody else. I mean, after a few months, I would have tried freaking anything at that point. Like,
I'm surprised they didn't take it in for evidence or something, you know?
I don't know. That's just what it was on Paranormal Caught on Camera. I can't speak to what actually happened. That's just what they said. So moving on, Peg Powler, and I want to clump these three together because they're kind of used interchangeably, and that's why I'm kind of talking about them like this. She's another one. If you get too close to the edge, she's going to drag children into the water. So that also reminds me of your Baba Yaga. You know, it's children. Children are the preferred target. She's regarded as a bogeyman figure who is invoked by parents to frighten their children into proper behavior. So behave, or Peg Powler is going to get you. Now, the one thing about Peg that's just slightly different, she does have the same green hair. She's also very skinny. She's also very strong. But her thing is, when you see foam on the water or frothy water floating in certain parts of the teas, that's called Peg Powler suds or Peg Powler's cream. And it's supposed to be a sign that she's there under the water. That ties in to another paranormal creature, from Russia, the Rusalka. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But that little key part there is the foam. That's kind of the biggest clue that she's there. So you have to be careful if you see that foam. Now, the most modern account that I could find of Peg Powler comes from 1924. A gentleman by the name of Elliot O'Donnell, who was an English author, mostly known for writing books about ghosts, who also claims that he saw ghosts and he absolutely believed in the paranormal, wrote a book called Ghosts, Helpful and Harmful. And he describes her as a spirit who lures men and boys to their doom in the River Tees by appearing as a beautiful young woman with green hair who pretends to drown so that her victim will enter the water in an attempt to save her. What does that remind you of? Sirens, right? So sometimes she even appears on land on foggy nights in order to lead men astray until they stumble into the river. So Peg is a little bit different, but she still follows that same archetypal theme of this entity who's specifically coming after men. Now, Jenny Greenteeth, pretty much universally accepted, as far as I can see, as being a UK phenomenon. So imagine my surprise when I found out about this creature called the sea hag of Lake Erie, who is also known as Jenny Greenteeth. And I'm assuming probably Jenny Greenteeth, the name probably traveled from sailors who've been around the world and know about Jenny Greenteeth from other places and just borrowed the name here in Lake Erie. And for those who don't know, who don't live in the area, Lake Erie is one of the Great Lakes in the Northeast, in the Northeast Midwest area.
Chicago area, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like Ohio, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Wisconsin. There's this collection of really big lakes in kind of on the border between the U.S. and Canada. Well, there's this creature called the sea hag of Lake Erie, and she's said, just as in the intro, to be this creature who kills sailors, and she's apparently responsible for hundreds and hundreds of shipwrecks on Lake Erie and in the lakes. She is just like in the UK, in Lake Erie, described as having green skin, green hair, super sharp green teeth that are sharp like a shark. With in this case, she has large yellow eyes, and she's considered spindly, was the word that was used to describe her, which is long and thin and kind of like eerily thin, like really thin, like a spider.
Still, like, very similar to Jenny Greenteeth.
Yeah, exactly. Like she looks and sounds just like Greenteeth. What's interesting is there does seem like there is something there. So I was looking at the statistics. I wanted to see, is this just like something that's been hyped up? Is it, the same? Are we just making something up because there've been a few shipwrecks there, but are the statistics basically the same? Or is it possible that there maybe is something to this, that there's a little something extra happening here? And like I said, she's been blamed for centuries for the deaths and disappearances of ships and sailors on Lake Erie specifically.
And I could be wrong, but I think that's where a lot of those screaming women video, like, those come from there too.
Lake Erie?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of those. And then
cool.
Yeah, like the distant screaming that they don't think there's any animals around that make that kind of sound.
Oh.
I think that was in that area.
Maybe, could be. Well, I looked at some statistics, and, a lot of these ships that disappeared were never found. So no one is actually sure how many shipwrecks have occurred in the Great Lakes. The more conservative estimates are somewhere between maybe anywhere from 6,000 to a conservative estimate is that in the Great Lakes, we've had somewhere in the area of 6,000 ships lost with 30,000 sailors killed as a result. This is according to the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum. One gentleman who is a historian and known mariner, his name is Mark Thompson, he estimates that the total of wrecks, not lives lost, is possibly closer to 25,000 ships lost.
So that other number, was that just shipwrecks confirmed?
I think that's what there's a record of, that they kind of think it's in the neighborhood of 6,000. He thinks that due to poor record keeping, that it's probably a lot more than that. He thinks 25,000.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a navy.
And it's it's a big lake as far as lakes go, but it's not a very big body of water. We're not talking about the Atlantic Ocean or anything here. We're talking about a lake, According to the Earth Observatory, and this was reported, so it's earthobservatory.nasa.gov. Lake Erie is practically a ship graveyard and one of the most dangerous for ships and boats of all of the Great Lakes. Another gentleman named Kevin McGee, he's an engineer with NASA at the Glenn Research Center, and he's also co-founder of a group called CLUE. It's the Cleveland Underwater Explorers. They search for shipwrecks in Lake Erie. He says that the volatile nature of the lake is what makes it so dangerous. He says that the conditions, he described the conditions as being calm as a pond one moment, but within minutes, you'll face huge vertical waves. And they say that the shallowness of the lake is what actually makes it really dangerous, that it kind of compounds and amplifies the effect of storms and waves, making the waves crazy high for such a small lake.
Sort of like the tsunami effect, because it gets deep and then it shallows out really quickly.
Yeah, maybe. He says, according to his research, there's so many ships that have sunk in the shallowest part of the Great Lakes, so Lake Erie, that he estimates that Lake Erie has a greater density of shipwrecks than anywhere else in the world comparatively. He says even the Bermuda Triangle has fewer wrecks in terms of its density. Isn't that crazy? Because I wasn't sure, how much I wanted to kind of put forward my belief in this, if it's just, any old shipwreck. But there's something really happening there in Lake Erie. It's an insane number of shipwrecks. So then I wanted to hear about, what does that mean? They called, they said that in Lake Erie, something called a sachet happens there. And what that is, a seiche or seiche, It's Seiche. Powerful winds can produce a standing wave called a seiche that pushes so much water and sediment the waves are so powerful it pushed sediment all the way over from the eastern side of the lake all the way over to the west side, such that water levels rose 7 feet in Buffalo and dropped 7 feet in Toledo. So from one side of the lake to the other, that wave was so powerful it actually changed the depth of the water on one side versus the other.
That's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That is a tsunami.
It's nuts. So,
Are you sure a meteor didn't hit or something?
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so I wanted to see, how far back do stories of entities in the water go? And I tried to find sources or stories from the indigenous peoples who lived there first to see if there was anything that they talked about there. And there may be more there. And maybe it's, similar. I know that our Dene friends, they don't like to tell their stories. It's their business, it's their religion, it's their beliefs. They don't like to share that stuff. It's private for them. So I'm wondering if it may be similar. The best that I could find, but I suspect there's more. The first known people to inhabit Presque Isle, and that's a little island right in the center of Lake Erie, are called the Erie Honans. That's where the city of Erie actually gets its name, Erie, Pennsylvania. One of the legends taught that the Great Spirit led them to Presque Isle because of the wealth of game and abundance of clean, fresh water, the cool breezes. And so it was supposed to be a really great place. But another legend says, and this sounds real familiar, the Erie Honan ventured into Lake Erie in search of the land where the sun set. The spirit of the lake blew a fierce storm to keep the Erie from finding the sun. To protect them from the storm, their god laid his outstretched arm into the lake, giving them safety during the storm. The god's arm would remain in the lake, protecting the tribe's future generations. So there was a bad spirit. It's called the Irias, and it tried to wash them away when they were trying to find the source of the sun, but their god intervened and kept it from doing that. So I wonder if there's other stories about this water being that tried to wipe these people away in a fierce storm. Couldn't find more information about that, though. Oh my gosh. So I actually wanted to know more about these seiches or the sachets. And it said how to pronounce it, and that's one of the damn notes that I didn't take. But Lake Erie is known for these.
The sachet?
Maybe, sachet, maybe. So Lake Erie is known for these, especially when strong winds blow from southwest to northeast. In 1844, a 22-foot sachet breached a 14-foot-high seawall, killing 78 people and damming the ice such that the Niagara Falls temporarily stopped flowing.
That's pretty fucking wild.
That is how powerful the water is out there. Isn't that nuts? So I have a story.
That's crazy.
This one came from Reddit, and I believe this story is within 6 months, okay? This person didn't even know, and I forget, it's called Paranormal Encounters. This person had no clue what this could have been, but they called it Skeleton in the Lake. The person who wrote this is AST Force 5741. And she says, or possibly he, I'm not sure. This happened pre-COVID. My boyfriend at the time and I went with my mom, cousin, and her children to a private lake in western Pennsylvania. What are we talking about here? We're talking about Pennsylvania. All right. We were there for hours without incident when me and my boyfriend jumped in and swam around. I noticed the water felt off in a way. He got out to help me get onto the docks. When I was swimming to the docks, he looked behind me and told me to swim faster, then fully yanked me up into the docks and away from the water. We all saw a skeleton-like hand reaching out to grab me to pull me down, then closed its hands and went back into the 200-plus foot deep lake. We never left so fast in our lives. I looked this up. So western Pennsylvania, that's where Lake Erie is.
Really? I didn't think it had a border there.
What?
I didn't realize it had a border there.
I mean, yeah. Then I wanted to see, just because I was curious about this, you know, what's the deal? Do a lot of people go missing around Lake Erie? What's the deal? Since 1980, around 150 cases involving missing people have been documented. About 60% of these cases have been closed, leaving 40% unresolved. There's a lack of evidence, missing people who vanished on their own, and incidents in which the victim is presumed to have just been taken out of state or country are some of the few, of the many possible explanations for why these crimes remain unsolved. So basically, these people just disappeared without a trace. And there's a lot of speculation that, well, maybe they just sort of left, or maybe they were kidnapped and taken out of the country.
There are 3 major cities that butt up to it. It's Cleveland, Detroit, and Buffalo.
Yep.
Pennsylvania has like just a little sliver that touches on Lake Erie, but it's there.
Yep. There must have been Lake Pleasant. They specifically named the lake. He said it was Lake Pleasant. I'm not sure which gender this person is. Lake Pleasant, Pennsylvania. And when I looked it up on a map, I found that it's like it's fed by Lake Erie. So it's a little bit more inland, but that water is connected to Lake Erie by tributaries and like little rivers and streams. But continuing my thought, so since 1980, Erie has had over 50 unsolved homicides and numerous missing person investigations. Many suspects and a lack of evidence or eyewitnesses can make these situations exceptionally challenging for law enforcement. So when compared to the clearance rate for the missing person cases, the clearance rate for the homicides is significantly lower, hovering around 40%. So there's since 1980, some 200 people are either missing or murdered around Lake Erie, and about 40% of those, we just have no idea what happened to them. Either they just disappeared or they died and we don't know how they died or who killed them. So I just wanted to lay that out there. I'm not trying to trivialize people dying. I mean, obviously, I believe, like, probably 99% of those cases, it's people hurting other people. But, you know,
for 40%, those are some pretty wild statistics.
Those are big numbers, especially when you think about the number of shipwrecks. Like, something weird is happening out there. That's weird. It's crazy. So that's my Jenny Greenteeth. Now, she's the first one. You know, Jenny Greenteeth, Peg Powler, the Grindylow. She's the first one. But I said the Grindylow description of, you know, this other podcast reminds me a little bit of the Kappa. So I want to start with this story, also coming from Reddit. It comes from Redditor Equivalent Life 6658. This person says, I'm from Mexico and I've experienced so much paranormal things. But I asked a lady friend if she has ever seen the Hat Man. She said no. But as a kid, she saw a small green frog man, and I was shook because she said that he sometimes had a space helmet and other times he didn't, until one day he stopped visits. Says, I didn't ask her if it was when she was asleep or awake. He goes, I'm just really curious, has that ever happened to anyone else? And it's called The Little Frog Man. It's from Reddit Paranormal Encounters. Nobody was trying to label this. No one had any idea what it was. But in the comments, someone said, well, that could maybe be a Kappa. And I looked it up. So a Kappa is a kind of, according to Japanese folklore, is a kind of vampire-like lecherous creature. And it can be either female or male. That is more intelligent than the devilish Oni. That's another kind of creature, and less malevolent towards men. And the way that it's described, it kind of reminds me of like brownies and gnomes and fey creatures, like the little fey creatures. They can be good, they can be bad, but they're mischievous.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but they're usually depicted in legend as being about the size of a 10-year-old child. They might be yellow or green in color. They kind of resemble monkeys, but they have like fish scales and sometimes tortoise shells instead of skin. On top of their head, they have these hollow indentations that are filled with water. And the legend is if the water is spilled, they lose their supernatural powers, at least for a little while. Now, it's actually really funny. So the legends say that the Kappa encounters with the Kappa invariably include some kind of reference to their captivity because someone was able to get the water away from them and weaken them, or there was some kind of promise extracted from them after forcing their heads down and getting the water out. They have a taste for cucumbers, and so that's a way of placating them is by throwing cucumbers into water before you get in there where you think they live. Now, one thing, I want to reread this from the encounter. His friend said, as a kid, she saw a small green frog man, and she said sometimes he had a space helmet on, other times he didn't. The Kappa is said to have primarily been a water creature, but on occasion it does venture on land. And when they do venture on land, they wear a quote-unquote dish on their head that they can cover with like a metal cap or something to help prevent the water from leaking out. Do you get it?
So like a space helmet.
Yeah, so like a space helmet. She says, yeah, exactly, like a space helmet. So she says when she saw it wearing a space helmet. And in this crazy legend, kind of in an obscure, like I had to dig pretty deep into the article to find this, they sometimes wear helmets when they're on lands to like protect the water on their heads. I just think that's nuts. And there's a lot that goes into them, but the thing is, it's really, oh, go ahead.
It's kind of, how do they go from that to beautiful weeping woman?
I don't know. I went from that to beautiful. Like, I don't know that they ever did call it a weeping woman.
No, I don't think they did. Between that and the Baba Yaga, hi Baba, not you. No, the Baba Yaga, they make it like very unappealing. You're not going to be tricked by this creature. You would go there to get something you want.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends. So it depends because some of them, they're pretty mellow and they're chill and they don't really do that much unless you're like being kind of a dick. Other times they can be seen as, their actions can be seen as being either comparatively minor or, and one such example is looking up like a woman's kimono if the woman gets too close to the water, or anywhere as dangerous as just being outright malevolent, and such as drowning people and animals, kidnapping children, raping women, and at times eating human flesh. So they can they're anywhere. They can be sometimes really friendly and okay with humans, and other times they're just evil monsters who prey on humans. When they are evil monsters, it's said, and this is going to sound real familiar, Kappa have been blamed for drownings. They're often said to try and lure people into the water and pull them in with their great skill at wrestling. They are sometimes said to take their victims for the purpose of drinking their blood, eating their livers, or gaining power by taking their, I forgot about this, shirikodama. I would love to tell you what a shirikodama is. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay.
What? So I've never even heard that term before. Like,
brace
that
yourself.
Sounds...
When I read it, I think I was a little bit shocked. So a shirikodama is a mythical ball said to contain the soul of a human, and it is located inside the anus.
So they're going to reach their hand up there and steal it? Yep.
That's exactly what it was.
Wow.
So that's something that the Kappa are said to do, is to steal people's shirikodamas.
Man, other cultures are kind of weird.
I just thought that was shocking. I mean, honestly, I'm laughing, but I mean, that's awful. Can you imagine being freaking assaulted by a frog demon?
Something reaching their hand up your ass to steal your soul?
Exactly. Like in every way, shape, and form, that's one of the most awful things I've ever heard. So that's terrible. I don't think I ever want to meet a Kappa, or a Kappa, however they pronounce it. What's interesting, though, is in Japan, the Kappa has had a little bit of an evolution. So no longer is the Kappa this frightening water creature known for like pulling kids under and drowning them. Now it's kind of become a small but mighty creature who is cute, who is friendly, and who kids have toys of, and it shows up in movies and it shows up in books as kind of this friendly little cartoon creature. So I think we should bring back the Shirikodama stealing Kappa just so kids always stay on the alert. Like, I don't think so. That's not your friend.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't go play around the water because your good buddy's going to save you.
Yeah. Nope. No, thank you. Well, okay. We did agree, Cameron, that, Cameron and I, as we are sort of finding our flow and getting our rhythm, we've agreed that we're going to try different lengths of time for our episodes. And so I think it might be time to call it a day on this part of the Siren deep dive. But there's more.
Yes.
There is much more that we can talk about, and we will bring that up in part 2. What do you think, Cam?
Shirikodama seems pretty unpleasant. I'd rather move on. You lost me at anus soul stealing.
Oh my God. I can't imagine anything more horrible. So
Either.
I laugh because I'm in pain.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, that's not where you would expect a horror story to go.
Nope.
Like, okay, they're gonna horribly maim you. They're gonna eat you. They're gonna do. Oh no, hand up anus.
Hand up anus.
What?
Steal your soul.
What?
Yep. So it's a twofer. It's a twofer. So all right.
Then it might eat you.
So let's call it a day on part 1 of the sea siren or the water siren, and we will see you for the next episode.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. See you next time on
The Wandering Crow.